In this video we will summarize one of the films entitled August Rush, release on 2007. Spoiler ahead, watch out, and take care. The film opens with the story of a beautiful woman and a handsome man who are experts in playing music. They are Layla and Louis. Layla is a fairly proficient cello player and Louis is a vocalist for a local band. Then they met accidentally on a rooftop after they finished their respective concerts. The meeting made them instantly fall in love with each other because they both have compatibility in their lives. The atmosphere above the rooftop made them even more swept away until they finally did night activities above the building. Unfortunately, their meeting was only one night, because the next day Layla had to move out of town with her father. Louis begged Layla so they could meet again. But that didn't happen. They could only look at each other when Layla was about to leave. Actually, Layla didn't want to move with her father, but her father still forced her to come with him. After several months of not seeing each other, it turns out that Layla is pregnant from her relationship with Louis. On the other hand, Louis didn't know it. They didn't communicate at all. Layla never got any news about Louis. And vice versa. But their love is still blooming and they can only miss each other. It makes their feelings and thoughts disturbed in playing music, until finally they decided to stop playing music. Layla's father was very embarrassed by the condition of her child who was pregnant out of wedlock. It was then discussed when they were eating at a restaurant. Her father asked Layla to abort her pregnancy, but Layla denied it and did not want to abort her child even without a father. Layla looks more depressed and because of her father's words. Until finally she had an accident. Then Layla was taken to the hospital for further treatment. After Layla realized, her father told her that the baby could not be saved. But her father's words were only a lie so that he would not feel ashamed of the child's presence. Long story short, 11 years have passed. In a field a child is shown enjoying the sound of the wind. He is Evan Tyler, Layla's son. He has been living in an orphanage for 11 years and he often gets bullied from his friends. He even had time to be adopted by a new family. But Evan refused because he still felt that his real parents were still alive and would soon find Evan. One day he tried to escape from the orphanage, but he didn't know where he was going or where he was going because he didn't recognize his immediate family and parents at all. Then somewhere Evan listened to the sound of music he had never heard. Evan really liked the sound and then approached a street boy named Arthur who was playing the guitar. Evan could only be silent and enjoy the sound of Arthur's guitar playing. Evan's arrival disturbed Arthur. He told Evan to leave. But instead he continued to follow Arthur because Evan had no place to live. Because he doesn't have a place to live, Arthur invites him to go to where Arthur lives. Arthur lives in a theater that has not been used for a long time and it turns out that Arthur is not alone there. He lives with other street children who both like to play music. Not long after, there came an old man named Wizard. Wizard are people who gather street children to take advantage of and work with him. Then he saw the figure of a new child among them. Wizard asked, "What is Evan doing here?" Evan replied that I was just following the sound of the music. Hearing Evan's words, they all laughed at him. At night after they all fell asleep, Evan tried to play the guitar that was lying there. Then he tried to play it. It turned out to be a very great and extraordinary played. The sound of the guitar made Wizard and the other children wake up and were amazed after seeing it. Even though Evan had never played music or guitar before. It turns out that talent was passed down from his parents. Because of that, Wizard gave the land so that Evan could show his talent in front of many people. There he earned a lot of money and got appreciation from the people around him because of the talent he had. Wizard and Evan's closeness grew until Wizard finally gave Evan a name, namely August Rush as his stage name. On the other hand, Louis and Layla's life has changed. Louis decides to work in an office while Layla decides to become a music teacher. The decision they took was aimed at forgetting the memories of 11 years ago, but it has become a burden for them until now they do not get any happiness at all. Not long after, Layla got the news that her father was hospitalized, and at the hospital her father explained what happened 11 years ago when Layla gave birth to her child. Her father told her that at that time the child Layla was carrying did not die and her father had left the child in an orphanage. Hearing this explanation, Layla felt disappointed and immediately found out where her child was. While Louis still feels uneasy with his feelings, he still keeps thinking about Layla and has tried many times to find Layla's number, but after being called none of the numbers are active. Until finally he had to go find out where Layla was and decided to play music again. Meanwhile, a man is seen asking Arthur something. He is Mr. Heffress, who is an officer from the Child Services Department. At that time Mr. Heffress was on patrol looking for the missing child. Not long after that the Wizard came. Then he asked the Wizard about the truth of Evan Taylor who had disappeared from his orphanage. But Wizard answered him with bad words. Seeing the look on his face and his words, Mr. Heffress suspected Wizard. Until finally he decided to report to the police to find out about Wizard information. At night the police came to the residence of Wizard and the street children. The police managed to arrest Wizard and several other children. While Evan managed to escape, Evan's escape came to a church and secretly he stayed at the church. After Evan woke up from his sleep, Evan listened to the sound of the piano being played. He immediately approached the voice. There was seen a small child named Hope was learning with the piano. Evan looked at some of the scores on the piano. Then he told Hope if he had never seen such writing before. Hope then explained it briefly. Then Evan was left by Hope to go to school. But after returning from school, Hope was surprised to see his room full of papers scattered with scores written on it. It turns out that Evan created the score while Hope was left behind. Hope then told the head of the church. Seeing Evan, who has extraordinary abilities, the head of the church sends Evan to Juilliard School, one of the famous music schools in New York. On the other hand, Layla continues to find out where her child is. She has been trying to visit the office of the Child Services Department. However, the department was confused to help her because the information provided by Layla was not clear from the name or face of her son. Then Layla decided to ask Mr. Heffers for help. Layla could only explain the date and year of her son's birth. Layla accidentally saw a missing child notice board in the brochure which reads the same birth date as her son. Besides that, Mr. Heffers also found a list of her children and told us the photo of the child, which turned out to be Evan Taylor. Hearing that information, Layla felt a little relieved. After that, she decided to play music again because she had a feeling that she would find her child with that music. Evan's ability is growing. After he took music class, the school administrators got together to put on a concert performance that would feature works by Evan with their orchestra. The Juilliard School administrators will also invite their best alumni to appear as one of the guest stars, and the guest star turns out to be Layla. Before the concert started, Evan prepared rehearsals with his orchestra, and Layla, on the other hand, also prepared rehearsals. Meanwhile, Louis is preparing for his concert with his old band. They are busy with their respective activities. In the midst of busy training Evan, suddenly the wizard came and stopped the orchestra rehearsal. Wizard admits that he is Evan's father, and then he takes Evan home with him. At first Evan refuses, but Wizard threatens Evan until he finally goes with Wizard. Wizard doesn't want to lose Evan because Evan is Wizard's earning asset. The next day Evan was back singing on the street with Wizard. But suddenly Louis came, and Louis shared stories with Evan about music. They even had time to jam together. Louis didn't know that Evan was his son. So did Evan, who didn't know Louis was his father. Louis really admired Evan's extraordinary play. After they were jamming with Evan, he told the problems that had occurred with his current situation regarding his concert, which would be held tonight. Then Louis told Evan not to let Evan miss the concert no matter what. Before they parted, they got to know each other, and Evan introduced himself by the name August Rush. In the evening the concert was about to start. Layla started her performance on the stage, but she didn't know that she was on the same stage with Evan. Because of the concert, Evan's name was changed to August Rush. On the other hand, Louis is holding his concert in a different place. After a few hours passed, Layla's performance was finished and the next performance was Evan. However, Evan did not attend the concert. It turns out that Evan is still with Wizard, and Arthur is busy looking for land for busking. Arthur feels sorry for Evan. He tries to help Evan so that Evan can escape from the Wizard and attend his concert. On that stage the head of the board was confused, and then he tried to inform the audience about his last performance, who was having problems attending the concert. The head of the board was about to stop the show, but it wasn't long before Evan arrived before the concert was stopped. Long story short, Evan immediately performed his work with the orchestra on the stage. Layla, who was about to leave the concert, suddenly stopped after listening to music that was being played by Evan. Slowly she returned to the stage, while on the other hand Louis, who had finished his concert, accidentally saw a billboard on the side of the road that read the August Rush concert with guest star Layla. Louis immediately got out of his car and rushed to the concert. After arriving there he saw Layla, who was walking towards the front of the stage to see who the real child was playing music. Then Louis chased Layla and held her hand. Layla was very happy to see Louis back, and at the end of the story they were reunited with their son at a concert, August Rush. Thank you for those of you who have watched to the end. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. See you in the next video.